But you mentioned something at one point, um, that kind of like shocked me because you're young, and it's like young people don't usually think like that, and I was like, okay, whatever. But it shocked me. I was like,
what did I say? I don't remember.
So you said, okay, so I was like, yo, how did you find out? Like, how were you so sure that this was the woman that you're supposed to marry? And you said, well, I don't necessarily believe that there's a certain one. And you said, I believe that you get together with somebody, present it to God so that he can bless it. And then you go and move on. So I was like, what? Whoa. I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, because a lot of people out there are single, waiting for the one, the perfect one.
Right.
When the whole time, it's like, fam, you're going to keep looking.
Yeah.
Because there's not a perfect match for you out there. So, but this was after your quiet stage. And this was kind of your wife kind of like enlightened your world. I think she brought a lot of the good stuff that was probably being retained by something. Not sure. Maybe you want to talk about that. You maybe want to talk about that kind of mindset that you had. Where did that mindset come from? Where did that idea come from? And do you even remember the conversation? Or do you think that that's something you would say? 'Cause
I mean, no. I know what you're saying. I don't remember it per se, like literally, but I know that's something I would have probably. I think I did tell you. But yeah, I mean, so, I was in this before I met my now wife. I was kind of in this stage where I was like not focusing on girls. You know, I mean, I'm like 17, 18, so I'm not that old. And for a kid my age, usually that's all you think about, girls. And you know, I was kind of tired of doing that, just thinking about girls. And I don't know, I just came to a realization, like, I just needed to wait, you know,
right.
Just wait on God, because I don't know, I was on some stupid stuff. I'll talk more about it in a second, but I was at this point where I was just kind of like focused more on God. And so I watched this. There was this YouTube channel that I would watch a lot called Apply God's Word. I want to say it was from there that I sort of got the concept. But so he would basically teach. Was it that one? I think it was. I don't know. We'll go with that. But he would teach that, you know, God does have a soulmate, a one for you, but that soulmate is not like, it's not one person. It's more like an archetype, right?
Okay.
It's a kind of person,
Like a frame.
Yeah, like a frame, and like there can be multiple people that fit that frame for you, right? It's your job to seek out a godly wife,
right?
It's not up to God to just reveal to me in a dream, or just like, pop somebody in front of me and like, this is the exact person you're gonna marry. Because what if I mess up? Right. What if I get married to the wrong person? I have kids. Do I have the wrong kids now? You know, like what? No, I don't think it's impossible that God can do that, because plenty of people say, "Oh, God revealed my husband to me in a dream." I don't. You know, that's great for them.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it, but I feel like in general, that's not going to happen to everybody.
Right.
And so, if I can find a godly woman, and I know God would bless it, and I present it to Him in prayer, and I see it confirmed in various people, and I seek advice and they confirm, then I don't really need God to always tell me exactly what to do. I can go by the guidelines He already has in the Bible, by His word, and I can find a godly wife that He would want for me, right? That He does have for me.
Right.
Right. So I got it from there. And in that stage, I was just chilling. I was like, I'll just wait. Because when I was thinking about it, I was like, are any of the girls that I am around right now as godly as I would want them to be? And the answer was no. No offense to anybody out there. But the answer was no. And I don't know. I was stuck on just looks and all that beforehand. So I was like, let me just stop and just chill. And then lo and behold, like a month or two passed by, and a girl walks in, and we'll pray, and she's praying like I ain't never seen another woman pray before, Okay, I'm okay, and I mean, we didn't like click off right off the bat. I was a pretty quiet dude, and So it took a little bit, but eventually we started talking, hit off.
So
and I pursued her because not that I wasn't
There
like,
you go.
oh, I know this is the woman God has for me. It was more my view of the Christian dating process is this is how I'm going to find out if God wants her for me, if I'm for her, if we're compatible. So we'll date and see what happens. And so as we're dating, it was confirmed.
and I think one thing that you did right, it's the actual meaning of dating, which is like getting to know that person, and then not even having to do anything with the physical part, because you saved yourself for marriage, and I think that that's something important to highlight in your testimony. But two things that you mentioned that I think that it's worth considering talking about it. So number one, the right woman. Most people out there, they don't look to the Bible to find out what does a godly woman look like. But instead of looking at the Bible, they look at their own thoughts and their own image of what a godly woman should look like. When the whole time it's written in the Bible how a godly woman acts, how a godly woman behaves. So at this point, if you're looking for a girlfriend, you're going to get a girlfriend. But my man's was looking for a wife.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Like from the start, I was like, I'm in this, for the long run. I'm not just playing games here. So that was probably that's pretty important.
Yeah, and at 17, I think it was, or how old were you?
Yeah, 17. We didn't start dating till I was almost 18. So.
Okay, yeah. So at 17, you having that mentality, I think that's pretty crazy. I mean, at 17, I did not have that mentality. Matter of fact, I think most of the thoughts that I got were
ungodly
and about sneakers.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's crucial that you mentioned that you looked to the Bible to find the right description. And I think nowadays people struggle a lot, especially like women and men, like especially men, they don't know what they're looking for. And then they start looking at a podcast. They start listening to a podcast where all they feed you is trash. I'm not going to be honest. Some of these podcasts don't even, like, you listening to people that are not even married, first of all, and you listening to people that have been the divorced like 4 times.
Steve Harvey,
and then you're getting advice from them. I mean, yeah, like you learn from your mistakes and whatnot, but I don't know, like, what value do you get from listening to these guys and these women that can't even hold a 6-month relationship,
right?
Yet they're openly talking about it. But my man said, nah, you need to go to the Bible. The Bible's going to tell you what a woman should act like. Right. A wife should act like, how she should image, like what image she projects onto
Yeah. And another thing is they'll a lot of times men will look at someone else's wife and be like, I want someone like that girl. Right? But like that girl's for her husband. You're not the same guy as him.
Right.
You're not gonna get the same. That's almost jealousy sometimes.
Hey, it's getting sticky.
I want a girl that looks like that.
That's adultery, bro. You're not jealous. That's adultery. You want another man's wife. That's adultery.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know. Sometimes men they'll get upset, especially if they struggle to find a girlfriend or a wife. They're gonna say, why do all my friends have a nice, pretty girl that treat da. And I mean, those girls aren't for you.
Right.
They're not for you, and it's probably not even that type of girl. It's not for you.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that, like,
not every situation's the same.
Not every situation's the same.
Not everybody's gonna be like Ruth and Boaz.
Yeah.
God's not just gonna place you guys there. Not every situation's like that.
Yeah. And you're not supposed to receive sometimes. It's not that you're not supposed to, but you can't expect to receive a divine revelation about these things because it has already been given to you, which is in the Bible. Like, y'all are seeking for a high, like, revelation, a dream, a cloud, a voice, the heaven to open up and tell you you're out to marry this guy. You're gonna marry this person. You're gonna fam. You need to read the Bible and you need to know what a husband looks like. And some of y'all girls keep getting your hearts broken because you don't know what a godly man should look like.
It's the truth. It's just how it is. And it's not just the aspect of marriage or relationship. It's everything. It's everything. You seek things because you view them the way your thoughts say, the way your heart say. When on the other hand, if you go to the scripture, every time God pushes you to do it, and then he says, but if you have the thirst, if you have the will, if you want to find it, I'll let you find it. You just got to seek it.
Right. That's
just how it is.
Exactly. I think the second thing that you mentioned that is crucial and is important is the fact that you went for it.
Right.
Yeah.
You went for it, fam. And some of y'all need to put on some pants on. You need to tighten up your belt, and you just need to go for it. Like,
right.
Let me ask you: did you get rejected?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay, yeah. So you would never know unless you go for it.
Yeah, right. I had been rejected, but no.
Okay.
This time, no. But that was like middle school.
Okay.
The only other time I asked a girl out was that time.
All right.
My wife, and I didn't get rejected.
So how do you think that your mom, as a pastor now, do you think your mom played a big role in, like, oh, that woman, it looks godly? Was there a correlation or a relationship between the image that your mom gave you as you were growing up to see, like, that girl has her sense, this girl doesn't have her sense together? Like, how did that play anything to that decision?
I think that's a good question. I think subconsciously, maybe, yeah, because she was always a loving mother, and I wanted not a woman that would be my mom, but that would have that same sort of, not motherly love, but they would love me, similarly, like really love me,
Right.
That would show me that sort of love. As far as like literally like, asking, hey, Mom, what do you think? I don't really think so as much, but I think subconsciously in my mind, probably, yeah. A lot of it was like a lot of, reading I was doing and research videos I was watching on the topic of Christian dating, Christian singleness, Christian marriage. So I was educating myself to prepare. Like, this was before she even came to church. I was watching all this stuff to prepare myself for whenever I would eventually meet her. But I think most of it in practicality was that, but subconsciously what I sought for, that probably played, my mom being there, probably played part in that, in what I subconsciously sought for,
right.
That sort of affection.
Yeah. That's really good. And we fall into that. So there's a saying, and it's not even a saying, it's a fact, I think, that Christian people in Christian culture, in church culture, I would say, because I don't necessarily think that it's a Christian culture, it's just a church culture. There's a saying that we get married young, at a very young age.
In church?
In church, yeah. So that's very popular. So like for example, I don't want to fall into lust, so. Mm-hmm. Let me marry her, so that I don't continue falling into loss, or I don't fall into loss. And I go into marriage because of that, which is not a good reason. Like, that shouldn't be a reason why you're marrying somebody. If you think it's gonna get better, it's not. That shouldn't be a reason why you should marry somebody. That shouldn't be one of the top 10 or 5 points that you should marry somebody. But you got married pretty young, dude. How old were you?
20.
You got married at 20.
Yeah, you're older than my parents. Yeah.
So your parents got married
19,
young too.
Yeah, young.
So that's the testimony that I think that is very, and I have that too in my life, because my parents got married pretty young and they're still together. So what, your parents are gonna hit 25 years, or they hit 25 years, I think.
That's a great question.
I think they're in their 20s.
I think they're at 26.
Okay, they passed their 20s. So you have that testimony from your parents, And I think that pastors, their marriage is something that we should look up to, because number one, they got married young, and number two, they're still together. So they have beat the statistics again and again and again and again. But how do you feel now? How long have you been married now?
1 year, actually.
1 year. So this man is
a little over a year.
Fresh.
He's fresh out the boat.
Fresh.
So I've been married. So I still got a lot to learn. I still got a lot to learn, fam. I've been married for 6 years. Also got married kind of young. But I think that our perspective of marriage was the right foundation. Would you say that? Like the way we were taught, because in the same way, I think I was at a very early and crucial stage when I joined the church. I was out of high school, in my 18, 19 years of age. And I saw that example, not only from your parents, but from other people too, that we have that are part of our team as a church. So we got married at a pretty young age. How do you feel now that you have been married for a year? Like, how does that play into your testimony?
I mean, obviously it feels great. I think it's been a good year. You know, it's not perfect, had its ups and downs, but I think my parents' marriage, that having that example definitely played a really big part, even in the dating season too. Even when I was, trying to figure out what I was looking for in a woman, I think that played a big part. Knowing what a healthy relationship looked like. I could ingest all this information I was taking in while I was in dating. I could, understand how I could be a good husband. I had an example,
okay.
How I could be a potential good husband. Now I know how I can be a good husband now because, I'm married. So that example was pretty critical to my marriage, my relationship.
What made you take that step? I want to marry this woman.
A few things. So, well, one, I was certain, I knew I wanted to marry her. About it, like maybe a year into the relationship, I was pretty certain. So one, I knew. Two, there were certain circumstances that kind of pushed me to just, get it done. Because I was a little tired of a few things that were going on between, the families, for no reason. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to marry her and y'all can't say nothing because she's going to be mine.
Right.
She's going to be mine. So yeah, I loved her. I knew she was the one for me. I knew God approved of it. My family approved of her. And I also was encouraged, I was encouraged. Obviously, I knew it would be hard. I was warned, like, this is going to be difficult. But it was also encouraged, like, if this is really what you think you got to do, just do it. And God will bless you. God will back you up. God will provide. So even though it was kind of like a very long shot, sort of like risk, I guess you could say, I knew I was encouraged. The people around me, encouraged me and provided me that security that I would be okay, that we would be okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that had to do with your character and her character. So you can tell a lot by the way somebody carries themselves, if whether or not they're
prepared.
Not even prepared, but just in general, like if they're like a good person, like.
Yeah, there are some people that you could tell that they're not ready for a big decision just because of the other small decisions that they make in life, and you're like,
right, yeah. So
I
I think your past and your like the way you carry yourself, and the way you are, kind of like set you apart, I would say, that I like. It didn't even. That didn't even. It's funny because that didn't even cross my mind when you were like making the decision to get married. Never once did I think, oh man, this guy's too young. He should probably wait it out a little bit more. But like, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you were, as you were growing up, you were never doing some shenanigan or like you were a very center kid. Yeah. Even at a young age. You were precise. You were very level-headed. Like you never like, I never caught you saying some stupidity. Like you know what I mean. Like your conversations with others and then with everybody were like pretty sound conversations, and I think that played a big role. And your wife as well. Your wife from the jump, she's seen. And she is a woman that has 2 and 2 together and kind of like carry herself, respected herself, and then made it known. You know what I mean? Like it was not like I'm just a girl, whatever. Like it was like, nah, I know who I am and I know my value in God's eye. Yeah. So I think that, I mean, even for some of you watching out there, and you might be saying, because I got backlash, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. When I was getting married, bro, and
I mean, I did too.
Outside of the church, like I remember we went to Wells Fargo to open a bank account. The girl was literally saying to us, "Y'all not prepared."
I don't know why people do that, bro.
And I was looking at her. Yeah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, are you married? Like, she's like, no. I'm like, how old are you? 30-something. And I looked at her and I'm like, well, yeah, I might not be prepared, but like,
no one in really.
Nobody's really prepared.
No one's really prepared.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
Even if you got money, even if you're stable, even if you got a house,
marriage is hard. I'm not even gonna. Marriage is one of the hardest things that you are gonna face. But the crucial thing is to have mentors and to have people that have been at it for 25 years of marriage, which we have. And we are surrounded by those people. Yeah. But go ahead.
And they do show us that marriage doesn't have to be perfect. Right. Right. Like, as in to say, like, don't give up just because it gets a little, rocky. Yeah. You know, just because the road gets a little bumpy, don't dip.
Right.
There was that imperfection, that vulnerability, that we were able to see. At least, me with my parents, you probably with your parents, you can see, not everything's perfect, and that's okay. That's how it's going to be, and you should still stick through and fight.
Yeah. Right. I think one of the crucial things that I got from your dad actually is number one, like one of the conversations that I had. I think it was when I was my first year of marriage, is go into marriage not expecting to be loved by that person, but for you to give the best and to that person and love that person to your best of your ability.